What's up guys, Seth here with Renaissance Resurrection. Today's video, how to leverage the subconscious mind to create reality. Let's talk about that in 3, 2, 1. It's no secret that the subconscious mind generates thoughts similar to the ones most dominant in your conscious mind. You know, like if I say the word basketball right now, and you just focus on basketball, and that's all you can see, then more comes to your mind than just basketball, just from me saying basketball, right? You know, maybe you thought of your favorite team, maybe you used to play and you remembered practice, or, you know, maybe you thought of like Jordan or Kobe or LeBron. This is an example of how just by focusing on one small idea, your subconscious mind then can begin to involuntarily generate different associations just by focusing on one thing. And in that moment, the dominant thought in your conscious mind was basketball. So you subconsciously began to generate similar ideas and attract similar ideas. This is what a lot of people psychologically call the snowball effect, or metaphorically I should say, not psychologically, metaphorically people call the snowball effect. So, you know, what is that? If you put a snowball at the top of the hill, just a small snowball, and you let it roll downhill, just with the weight of gravity, it will pick up size and pick up steam and pick up mass by the time it gets to the bottom of the hill, and then by the time it gets there, it's a pretty big snowball, right? This exact same concept gets applied with our thoughts, our ideas, and our emotions if we don't have control of them. So if you have any sort of powerful emotional thought, that's like a snowball at the top of the hill. And once you begin to get deep inside of that thought, it then begins to attract other thoughts most similar to it. So what's cool and kind of unfortunate but fair is that this happens whether the thought is a positive thought or whether it's a negative thought. If you are focusing on mainly a positive thought of gratitude, you'll then begin to think of other things to be grateful for. If you focus on a negative thought of anger, you'll look for other situations to get angry at. You attract that predominant thought mindset that you're in, right? So this is just kind of foundational to what I'm going to be talking about a little bit later, but what I want you to take away from this specific segment is that automatically, just by having a thought, you attract, you magnetize, you involuntarily build upon, you automatically generate and then internalize thoughts most similar to the ones dominant in your conscious mind subconsciously. This is a really highly powerful psychological construct, and most people don't really recognize the gravity of it, but if you can understand it, you can in a way leverage it to control your subconscious mind to create your reality in a way. Now that I've demonstrated how the subconscious mind is capable of automatically generating thoughts similar to the ones most dominant in the conscious mind, I want to briefly take a step back and discuss another idea about the operation of the human mind before I get on to my next segment. So, if you look at anything in your environment, like if I look at this Bluetooth trackpad, or the shirt I'm wearing, or the laptop that I'm recording this on, or the camera that's, you know, viewing me, or the light that's shining on me, anything in my environment or anything in your environment, every single thing that I just mentioned that started as an idea in someone's head, it started as a thought, it started as a vision. And that's true for every single thing that exists. Nothing can come into reality without having first been conceptualized in the thought realm of a human mind that then decided to bring that thing forth. So everything that's ever been conceived and created started as an idea. A thought is the birthplace of any creation that's ever been made and ever will be made. So now moving forward with the understanding that the subconscious mind attracts thoughts similar to the ones most dominant in the conscious mind, and with the understanding that everything that has ever come into existence began as a thought or an idea in someone's head, which was like one of those snowballs that started at the top of the hill and then rolled down and accumulated mass as they began to think more and more about that creation, and more ideas associated and culminated to make it a real physical thing from the thoughts. I lastly want to explain an analogy which will help me preface how you can leverage the subconscious mind to help create your reality. So at the end of the day, and this is one of my favorite metaphors because I'm a computer nerd, I program and do all that fun stuff. I dabble in like cybersecurity, so and you know, just writing programs for other various things for what I do with my stocks. And so at the end of the day, a brain is just a computer. It's the most complex computer that's ever been invented, and it's, you know, been developed over millions of years by nature. But at the end of the day, it's the most complex computer that's ever been made, and it is a computer. Now, computers have two components that make them work, right? They have their hardware, and then they have their software. So the hardware in a computer is what? It's the chips, the CPU, the GPU, the drive, the disk, the RAM, every single, you know, the LCD lights that make up your display. Those are all components of the hardware of the computer. And then the software is the actual computer code, the actual highly complex programming languages that are written to tell this, the computer's hardware exactly what to do with itself, right? So extending this analogy that the human brain is a computer, we can reason that the brain's hardware is the actual organic matter that composes our brains, along with the chemicals and all the nerve endings and everything that's actually physically tangible about the brain. But the software that directs the brain on what to do with itself is our thoughts. So now, what you guys got to understand, for people that are non-programming folks, if you have one error when you're writing software for a computer, if you have one error in your computer code, you're missing a period, or you're missing a parenthesis, or you're, you know, any one tiny error, there is no autocorrect on programming. Like when you run your program, it will not give you the output you want if you have just one error. So output is basically, if you run your program, it's what you get. If it's, you know, an error message, or if it's the actual output that you wanted, the program did what you wanted to do, determines whether you're going to be happy or whether you're going to have to go and dig and figure out, you know, how to fix more problems. But you get an error message on your output if you have just one mistake in your code. Now, that means your code, the software that you're giving your computer, has to be flawless in order to run without bugs. There's no autocorrect when it comes to telling a computer what you want it to do. And the point that I want you to take away is that a computer does directly as it is asked to do by software. It does no more, no less. And what I want to talk about then is, you know, how can we write higher quality computer code for our head-brain computer? How can we write more clarified thought code to run on our computer brain to get as good of output as we can get without many error messages, and to actually see the output that we want to see? So that's how I want to talk. That's what I want to talk about, is how can we make that thought code more clear and effective on giving us the output we want. Alright guys, so in order to clean up the output that we're getting from our life and make sure that it's something that we want to be getting as output from our brain computer, there's a few things that we can do to clean up the thought code. So the first thing we can do to clean up the output that we're getting from our thought software in life, and the way we can leverage our subconscious mind, is to get clarity on exactly what we want. So if you're writing the program for a computer, you have to give exact, perfect, flawless code and clarity to the computer on what you want, and be very specific on what you want your output to look like. In your thoughts, you have to be very, very specific and have a ton of clarity on what it is exactly that you want. What position do you want? What do you want your career to look like? What do you literally want your house to look like? You know, what do you want? How do you want to feel whenever you achieve the thing that you want to achieve? You have to get clarity on exactly what the output is that you want from your life in order for that thought software to run and give you that exact output. Now, the second thing that we can do to ensure that we get the output that we want from our brain computer by leveraging our subconscious mind is to have a definite plan to achieve that vision that you constructed in step one. You have to literally develop a statement of what you are going to do and the steps you are going to take to get to where you want to go. And you put that out on paper steps that will lead you exactly to what it is that you envision for yourself with clarity, the output that you envision for yourself with clarity. And then you read that statement of the things that you're going to do to get yourself there every single morning when you wake up and every single night before you go to bed. So it's the first thing on your mind when you wake up, and it's the last thing on your mind before you go to bed. And so what this is going to do is it's going to activate that principle of the dominant mind or dominant thought subconsciously attracting other thoughts similar. It's going to engage that first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So when you're reading that every single morning and every single night, you are keeping your mind tuned onto that frequency of your vision of what you want. And, you know, you just kind of take advantage of that snowballing effect. You know, I have my statements right here. I read these, there's 2 more in there, but I read these every single morning. This is literally exactly where I envision myself with as much money as I want to have, with the things that I want to have accomplished and the things that I'm doing to accomplish those things. It's a statement right here that I know exactly what I want and exactly what I'm going to do, and I repeatedly do that. So I have that definite plan, and I also have clarity on exactly what I want. And then the last piece of advice that I have for improving your thought software to ensure you kind of get that output from life that you want by leveraging your subconscious is persistence. The subconscious mind reacts to things that it's been repeatedly exposed to so much more than things that just hit and impress upon it once or twice. If you persistently read these statements of your desires every single morning and night before you go to bed, and the plans that you're gonna put into place and execute in order to achieve those visions for yourself, and you repeatedly go to work on that plan, you know, you plan the work and then you work the plan, and then you have persistence to consistently remind yourself of your vision so that it's constantly the dominant thought in your conscious mind, then you know, that'll ensure your success. And if you know what you want, you have a definite plan to achieve it, and you're persistent in reminding yourself of that, then it will be brought into reality, you know, since you're constantly thinking about it and working towards it. So, in summary, given that we know that the mind automatically generates thoughts similar to the ones most dominant in the conscious mind, and given that we understand that everything that has ever come into existence started as a thought, started as a vision in someone's mind, and given that we know that the human brain acts like a computer and delivers outward the thoughts that we give it as software in the form of thoughts to run, then we know that we're able to take steps to improve the software on our brain and get less errors in our output in our life. So, you know, in closing, guys, I would just like to say your mind is like a garden. That's one of my favorite analogies. Your mind is like a garden. And if you ignore a garden, then weeds grow automatically. And those weeds in a mental garden, those are like limiting beliefs, limiting behaviors, negative thinking, perhaps caused by yourself or perhaps the negative energy of people around you. But, you know, these negative weeds that grow in your mental garden, if you're not supervising it, they have to be pulled out regularly. But, you know, if you care for a garden, if you keep the soil fertile and you plant the right seeds and you pull out your weeds, your garden can actually be a place to relax. You know, you can enjoy some peace in a garden, and you can enjoy the fruits that it brings forth from the seeds that you planted and, you know, nurtured through your persistent care. And, you know, between those 2 gardens, you know, one garden grows all by itself, you know, because people are too lazy to take care of it. And that type of a garden, it really doesn't serve anybody. It serves, not even, especially not the person who owns it. I mean, you just have a bunch of weeds, right? But the other garden grows through deliberate effort on the part of the gardener and the person who continuously provides care to the garden to ensure that it brings forth, you know, the fruits that are desired. And the truth is, regardless of whether you choose to well keep your mental garden by planting positive thoughts or you choose to ignore it, it will bring forth. So, you know, if you guys like this video, please read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's this book, he goes way more in depth on these topics, massively more in depth on these topics, so much better than I covered here. This was a very surface level discussion. And you know, I want to hear from you guys. What part of this video did you most benefit from? What did you find most intriguing? Please put it in the comments below. If you got value from this video, please go ahead and give it a like, share it with someone that you think would benefit from hearing this information, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. My next YouTube video will be called How to Get Started Investing and How I Got Started Investing. So subscribe if that sort of financial things interest you. I'll also be delivering more personal development content and eventually technology content, so don't miss the announcements for any of my future videos. You can find me on Snapchat at Seth56LG. Instagram is Seth.Allen1919. You can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Seth Allen. This has been Seth with Renaissance Resurrection, and until next time, I wish you luck on improving the mental software that runs your brain and determines your output on life. And I hope you cultivate a very beautiful garden in your mind by planting the right seeds while you learn how to leverage the subconscious mind to create your own reality. Until next time, everybody, I'm out.